everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. My name's Joanna M. Cameron. I'm a mental health therapist and a life coach, and I'm bringing you mental health tips and life coaching tools that are going to help you navigate through your everyday life. Before we get started, I want you to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and I want you to like the video. And please also share the video if you feel like something I talk about is going to be useful and may help someone else out. The whole intent behind me doing this whole YouTube channel was simply because I wanted to be able to reach a larger population. I'm only one therapist and I can only help so many people on any given week. So by doing these videos, I felt like I'd be able to reach a larger group of people to offer resources to those who are suffering in silence maybe, or just don't have the resources or the access to a therapist that may help them get through something that they're going through. And then there's also the stigma, which is what I want to talk to you about today. People who look like me, people in the Black community, have always carried around this whole stigma of seeking out therapy. And it hasn't always been something that we as a people have been comfortable with doing. And one of the reasons being, a lot of us were brought up in a home where we were told we don't take our business out into the streets. And by the streets, that means anything outside of the doors of the house that you live in. And that puts you in a very difficult situation to even talk to anyone about any problems that you may be experiencing, whether it started with somebody in the house or if it's something that you are just struggling with yourself that maybe no one in your house even knows about. You just felt like you didn't have anyone available to talk to outside of the house because you were told that that's a no-no, and we don't do that. So then you grow up and you're this adult and you still have it in your head that you can't talk to anybody. What do you do? Who do you turn to? Where do you go? So one of the things that I really hope that I can do by talking about this and talking more about mental health and bringing mental wellness to the forefront of conversation and talking to you more about different mental health issues that we tend to go through on a daily basis, things that can start out small but then turn big and affect our mental well-being overall. I'm hoping that it'll open up your eyes and open up the thought to maybe therapy isn't that bad, and maybe there's a therapist out there that can help me. And then another thing is that, we were told that just pray about it. Take it to the church. Talk to the pastor about it. Yes, we can pray about it, but I'm going to be totally honest with you. A lot of times when people are praying, they're being very subjective in what they're hearing back from the God that they feel like they're praying to. Because oftentimes what we'll say is, well, God told me to do this, or God told me to do that, or this is what I heard, or I'm waiting for God to show me the way, or listening for, my direction and what I should do. When in reality, a lot of it is your own thoughts. And you're basically just going off of what you feel most comfortable doing, or avoiding what you don't feel comfortable doing. How much of what you're hearing from God is you? And how much of what you're hearing is actually from God? I just believe that there are resources available to us, and that you have to take advantage of using those resources that are going to benefit you. Everything and everyone was placed here for a purpose. And I definitely believe that it's okay to talk to somebody about it and seek out help in any area that you need help. If you need to go see a doctor, yes, we're praying about it, but simultaneously we're also going to the doctor to get the meds that we need or get the healing that we need from the doctor. And everybody for some reason believes that physicians were placed on this earth by God to help support whatever it is that God wants to fix in us, but nobody's thinking that same thing for their mental well-being. If God's placing doctors on this earth to give you the medical assistance that you need, why do you not think that there are therapists on this earth to give you the mental health wellness and necessities that you need to make your life healthier and better for you as well? And then there's also the fact that, yes, as a whole, the Black community has been underserved. We have not had the same resources as our white counterparts. And, unfortunate as it is, we do experience the same mental illnesses and the same struggles with depression and anxiety as those in the white community. However, whereas they're 40% likely to go and seek help, we're only at 25%. And that's a very big disparity in seeking services for mental health. I really just wanted to use this video today to help you to understand that there doesn't have to be that disparity. I know that a lot of times we have this mistrust in the medical community of if they're going to service us right, or if they're going to treat us fairly, or if they're going to misdiagnose us intentionally. There are different resources available for you to find therapists that are in your community that can serve you. And right now with COVID going on, you have access to therapists in your state from any city. So teletherapy, I mean, I see a lot of my clients on video. I don't even see them face to face in the office. I've had clients in a whole nother city in Georgia. As big as Georgia is, I can see them anywhere as long as they're in my state. So there are resources available, and I just want to name a few so that you're aware that if you do choose to get a Black therapist, that they are available to you. You can contact Therapy for Black Men. That's one resource. And then Therapy for Black Girls. And then there's Clinicians of Color. So all of those resources have therapists that are either Black or a person of color, so that you don't have to feel like you're interacting or working with a therapist who doesn't look like you, who may not understand the issues that you struggle with as a Black man or a Black woman, or a person of color. So those resources are available to you. So I want you to consider that if therapy is something that you need, we've got to let go of the thought that we can't take our business out into the streets. We've got to let go of the fact that everyone's out to get us, and that the medical community or the any community of health and wellness is out to cause us harm. Therapy is not just for people who are crazy, as we've been told growing up. You can seek therapy for a number of problems. And you know, if you look back at the video that I did with my fiance, we talked about going to couples therapy. That's a form of therapy. We went just to improve on communication and how to get along and how to work through different issues that everyday couples may deal with on a regular basis before it got out of hand. So you can go to therapy for so many different things. It doesn't have to be a major mental illness before you decide that you're going to go get therapy. Martin Luther King Jr. himself was actually struggling with bouts of depression, and his team encouraged him and tried to get him to go seek therapy. And there was a huge stigma back then in the 60s with therapy, and he did not go. So that was something that he struggled with at different times in his life, and the things that he was going through. There's been many reports on that. So as far back as that, and even way beyond that, people have been struggling in our community with depression and anxiety, and we just blow it off as, oh, they're just stressed out, or oh, they'll be all right, ain't nothing wrong with them, they'll get over it. And then they don't get over it, and then you see things happen, or you see them harm themselves, or they may harm someone else, or they take it out on people through different expressions of anger, or using drugs to mask the pain that they're dealing with. And there's just so many different traumas that people have gone through that they've just tried to sweep under the rug and act like those things are never going to resurface. And just because they're under the rug doesn't mean that it's gone. It just means it's under the rug, and eventually once that rug is moved, it's going to be exposed. There are therapists out there that can help you, and it is okay to say that you want a Black therapist or you want a person of color. There's nothing wrong with that. And then you don't have to be worried about what it's going to be like once you go into that therapy office. You can ask a therapist anything that you want to ask a therapist. You have to remember that you're also interviewing the therapist that you're going to work with. They have to be able to answer questions for you as well. So you can ask them, what type of therapist are you? How do you feel you can help me with this particular issue? This is what I'm going through. What would you use, and how would the sessions go? What would they look like? What can I expect when I come to your office? All of those questions are very valid and perfectly acceptable for you to ask any therapist that you decide to work with. You can ask them if they're going to work with you for a short period of time, or if they like to work long term. And what are their expectations? Are they going to go all the way back to your childhood, or do they just want to focus on where you are now and where you want to be? So keep some of those questions in mind if you ever decide to seek out therapy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'd love for you to subscribe, like, and share. If you have questions or you need assistance in finding a therapist, or you just want to know more about what therapy could potentially be like for you, leave me some comments. I'll do my very best to help you or lead you in the right direction. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you the same place next week. Bye for now.